Greetings, grave robbers, and welcome to this very unmarked plot of the television graveyard. We are your TV necromancers, Lara Prince and Noah Houlihan. We have gathered here tonight for a bonus episode of Stay Doomed. With me, as always, is Lara Prince.
Hi.
So, we discussed in our Lord Bravery episode, which is up now, the idea of these side cartoons. They are cartoons that aired as part of other cartoons. So they never really had their own show or would eventually go on to have their own show.
Right.
And it's just a very interesting kind of subcategory of entertainment.
It's like a variant on a backdoor pilot.
Yes. What I found interesting is, so what I've done here is I've made a list of some of the ones that I've found or that were suggested on our Discord. And we're going to play a little game where Lara tries to guess where the secondary cartoon comes from.
Yes, so you're going to give me the secondary cartoon and I'm going to give you the main cartoon?
Yes.
Or vice versa?
I'm going to give you the secondary cartoon.
Okay.
I'm going to give you the main cartoon. Mostly because, like, if I were to give you a cartoon with many, I don't want you to have to list all of them.
Fair.
So I'm going to give you the sub-cartoon, you give me the main cartoon. And what I found very interesting about this was a very hard thing to research.
Yeah.
Because it didn't seem to have a term. Like, secondary cartoon didn't seem to make sense. I saw some places call it a filler cartoon.
Okay.
But then searching, like, filler cartoons just gave me, like, filler episodes of Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
So it was a very difficult thing to kind of pull out of here. I will say there are some curveballs and silliness in this list.
Oh boy.
But I have a total of 23 for you to try to figure out.
Okay.
All right? We're going to start with the softball, one that we actually brought up before, and it's just something I know Laura likes, and that's U.S. Acres.
Garfield and Friends.
That is from Garfield and Friends. This was the story of a bunch of farm animals that lived on Happy Acres, I want to say it was called. Or U.S. Acres, probably.
Yeah, I think it's called U.S. Acres.
Probably U.S. Acres. And just their trials and tribulations and fun little shenanigans. There's no humans.
Has one of my all-time favorite characters.
Is that Wade?
Yeah, you knew it was going to be Wade the duck.
It was a duck in an intertube, and I remember that being one of the first puns I identified as a child.
Well, and I loved the inner tube because the inner tube had a duck on it that was his face.
That was his face that would also react.
It would also react to stuff.
Yes.
Usually would have a similar reaction to Wade himself, but sometimes it wouldn't.
Yes.
And that was it was a high gag when I was a kid.
Yes. Our next one comes from our Discord, and it's one that I should say I have 23 of these. How many do you think you got to get? For stakes and make it fun.
For stakes? Oh no. I see. Without knowing the questions, I'm like, some of them might be hard.
Yeah, some of these I know you're not going to get, and that are in here for fun. But
12.
12 out of 23. A majority. Okay, that sounds good. That's good.
Simple majority.
The discussion in our Discord is that the best side cartoon is Good Idea, Bad Idea.
Oh, that's Animaniacs.
That is Animaniacs.
I actually used to do that as bits when I was in school. Of like the Good Idea, Bad Idea. I would like do that as a bit to like make my parents laugh.
It is one of the like just simplest joke setups.
It reminds me a little bit of like Vital Information from your everyday life, like that very dry. Like this very dry humor that was very millennial.
Yeah.
And I mean, probably very Gen X. And it was very much in the cartoons that millennials consumed as kids.
Yeah. And the jokes were very simple and, like, guessable.
Yes.
Like, good idea. Going skiing in the winter. Bad idea. Going skiing in the summer.
Yeah. They were, like, very... A lot of it had that, like, random humor. Like, good idea. Going skiing with your friends in the winter. Bad idea. Going skiing with hyenas in the winter.
Yes.
Like, that was more of what it would be.
I'm 90% sure skiing in the summer was one of them.
Probably.
So yeah, it's just very simple, just like, here's a quick joke. Moving on. I just remembered one I wanted to add to this, so I'm going to quickly add it right now, so now that there's an even 24. Number 3, Angela Anaconda.
See, Angela Anaconda did have her own show.
Yes, she did.
But I believe she starts in Kablam.
She does start on Kablam, which I thought was very interesting because Angela Anaconda was a Fox show.
I was going to say, it did take me a minute because I was like, I remember it running on, at the time, Fox Family.
Yes. It was a cartoon using, like, cutouts.
Yes.
So it almost looked like a ransom note.
Yeah, I did not like Angela Anaconda.
I don't really have a lot of memories of it.
But I loved Kablam.
Yeah, I love Kablam, and I remember
It's not even my favorite, that's not even my favorite of those in Kablam.
Of course, I went for the strangest one. Like, because I feel like if I said, like, the Offbeats or...
I was going to make an Offbeats joke. I was like, you didn't go for the most offbeat.
Yeah. If I said, like, the Offbeats or Prometheus and Bob, I think it would have been
Fondue,
easy.
Life
Sniz
of
and
Loopy.
Fondue, yeah.
I loved Kablam growing up.
Oh, yeah, I loved Kablam as well.
Kablam was like appointment television. Like, I watched Kablam.
Yeah, it was part of SNCC.
It used to air Friday nights before that.
Yeah?
I definitely remember airing Friday nights.
I remember it being a SNCC show.
I think both of those things are true.
We move on now to Fat Man and Boy Blubber.
Fat Man and Boy Blubber. It's definitely something a little older, because that's not something they would make today.
That's true.
I remember this. It was definitely something I didn't watch.
Okay.
Because I do kind of remember this, but I remember it being part of something I, like, didn't care for. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of what that could have been.
Okay.
Oh, God. See, I'm doing the filler thing, right? Because I don't... While I try to, like, think through it.
Yeah.
It's giving, like... It's giving Fox or WB.
Okay.
I'm trying to...
We'll make a stab into the dark.
Kind of. That's... Hysteria. I don't know.
No, it would be Freakazoid.
Oh, because he does have the sidekick, but his sidekick was, like, not... I thought that was, like, his sidekick.
His sidekick, I want to say, was Fanboy?
Yeah.
But this was different. Because
I did think of that, but I was like, no, that's his sidekick.
Yeah, Fat Man and Boy Blubber were just two very fat people, and that was the whole
I remember
cartoon.
it now, and I'm proud of myself for going with Hysteria, because I at least went with the right, like...
Yeah, you were in the right circle.
Yeah.
You're in the right circle. All right, so that's one wrong.
3 and 1 so far.
Yes. We move on now to Freaky Stories.
Freaky Stories. Ooh. I don't know.
I didn't think you would. This is one of my absolute favorite shows as a child. This aired on the Fox Family Channel. It was a show called The Three Friends and Jerry.
Oh, yeah, I never watched that.
I loved this show. It was the story of 4 friends. I believe it was a French cartoon. It was the story of 4 friends, but one of the friends was Jerry, who they didn't really like, but they still hung out with them. And there were just these, like, weird tales of, like, them being in school. But the side cartoon was Freaky Stories, which were, like, common tall tales and myths.
Huh.
So they all every Freaky Story started with, this is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine. And then it was the story, like, one of the most famous ones that I can think of is the guy who sees in a newspaper that a car is being sold for $50. Mm-hmm. So he's like, this is too good to be true. So it's like a beautiful convertible. So he gets there and there's a woman there that's like, if you want to give it a test drive, give it a test drive. And he drives it to a mechanic, and the mechanic looks at everything, and it's like, everything is pretty much fine except I hear something rattling around.
Okay.
And when they look to see what the thing is rattling around, they eventually find that it's a wedding ring.
Okay.
But other than that, everything about the car is fine. So he drives it back and he says, okay, I'll buy it for $50. So he buys it for $50 and he looks at the woman and just goes, I gotta ask, why are you selling this beautiful car for $50? And he goes, oh, it's simple. This is my ex-husband's car. He ran off with his mistress a few months ago and gave me instructions to sell his car and send him the money.
Oh, yeah.
So she sends him $50.
I've heard this as a joke.
Yeah, it's a very old, common joke. And that's what Freaky Stories was. It was retelling of things like that. I'm pretty sure they did, like, the hook hand on the side of the door.
High beams.
Yeah, I think they did, like, all those little stories. But, yeah, it got me interested in, like, Snopes.com and stuff. So I always loved Freaky Stories. So I had to include it, though I was pretty sure you were unaware of that.
Yeah.
So that leaves you at 3-2.
Oh.
And number 6, Cadillac Cats.
Cadillac Cats.
Mm-hmm. It's a tricky one. But I thought you might know this one.
I'm trying to, think through where this could have been.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to think through, the shows I remember having them. Because this was more of something that you saw in syndication.
Yeah.
This wasn't something you saw as much in, Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network shows. Though you did actually pretty frequently see them in Cartoon Network shows. I don't know.
They were the side cartoon or the other half of Heathcliff on Nickelodeon.
Which I never watched.
Heathcliff for me...
Because they aired it, dawn.
Heathcliff was like, if I had absolutely nothing else to do, I would watch Heathcliff. I hated Heathcliff. But the Cadillac Cats had a real sexy cat that I'm sure awoke in a couple furries. So we go in even, 3-3.
No.
I think you're going to be fine.
Okay.
As we hit Powdered Toast Man.
Oh, that's Ren and Stimpy.
That is Ren and Stimpy.
That's also interesting because Powdered Toast Man also did cross into the main cartoon from time to time.
Yes.
So Powdered Toast Man, I believe I have a Powdered Toast Man apron somewhere.
Yes.
In my home.
Powdered Toast Man was oddly advertised and merchandised in the Nick box.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure Powdered Toast Man is also a playable character in Nick All-Star Brawl.
I'm trying to remember if he's playable. I think he is playable.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was bad. I'm pretty sure, he was really hard to use. Because the best character to use, I only played the first one, but the best character to use easily was Cat Dog. And I think the worst of the worst was Patrick.
Powdered Toast Man was a playable character. I only ever played as one character in the first All-Star.
I was only Reptar.
Only ever Reptar.
Yes. I believe you won one match and you were like, I beat it.
I want to point out, All-Star Brawl 2, there is a character I would definitely learn to main.
Yeah?
Yeah. As much as I would love to main Nigel Thornberry,
Yes.
I think I would have to main Arnold's grandma.
Yes, Arnold's grandmother is a playable character. She does karate.
I'm not surprised. And she probably has, a horrific finisher.
Probably. Number 8, Minerva Mink.
Oh my god. Is that Tiny Toons?
Minerva Mink is actually another Animaniacs.
I thought she was, but I didn't realize we were going to do multiple ones from the same show.
Yeah, twists.
That should have been a rule that was clarified at the beginning. Because I went, we already did an Animaniacs. He was trying to go for the most obscure, following his own set of rules.
1, said curveballs. And 2...
Oh, is curveballs just not telling me the rules?
Yes!
That's not what a curveball is. Alright, so 4-3, and then I'm counting 1.
And second, I added...
MatPat's down at the bottom of the tier list now again, by the way.
No!
MatPat jokes open season again, baby! Truce over.
What?
JD Roth is bad host.
Stop! I added good idea, bad idea moments ago because of the Discord. Just saying.
Oh, so you're just shifting things mid-game.
That's not what I said. I'm just...
Moments ago. What do you define as a moment? How long have we been recording?
Listen, I'm giving you more information right now that I
Okay.
think you should pay attention to.
Okay.
Okay? I ended up adding Good Idea, Bad Idea right before we started recording, and I already had Minerva Mink on there. That does not mean that this is the only time there will be a repeat.
Okay. So I'm counting 4 correct, 3 incorrect, 1 thrown out.
Do you have any thoughts about Minerva Mink?
I remembered watching it, and I was like, I really think it's an Animaniacs show, but I don't want to say Animaniacs again because Noah would clearly not pick multiples per show after we had that whole conversation about Angela Anaconda.
Curveball.
Liar.
I just remember Minerva Mink is the thing that taught me that a full moon happens every 28 days because there was a werewolf that she was attracted to.
I also fully admit there was a moment where I thought of Maureen the Mink.
Yeah?
And do you know who Maureen the Mink is?
I do not.
You watch Maureen the Mink every year on the same day.
Oh, that's a Muppet.
Yeah. She's the gift that Kermit gives Piggy.
Oh, yes.
I got you a mink, and then instead of being a fur coat, it is... He gives her, like, a fangirl to follow her around.
All right, number 9. Inside Out Boy.
Inside Out Boy, I legitimately can't think of what show he's in. He was a commercial interstitial on Nickelodeon.
That is correct. He never had his own show other than something that showed up to kind of fill time on Nickelodeon.
Because Nickelodeon used to do that. They used to have a much more limited number of ads, but to keep within the standard television construct, they would have these like weird little filler shows.
That's how Pete and Pete started.
That's how Pete and Pete started. There used to be music videos,
Yeah, I kind of remember those.
but only like all very kid friendly, all very bespoke. Mm-hmm. I was actually singing one of the Nick Jr. ones to my nephew last week. That like red, red, red ball, blue, blue, blue sky.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have like a core memory of seeing that video in line for Nickelodeon Studios. I was singing it to my nephew who was transfixed.
Yeah.
It was like legitimately weird. Because he was just like watching, like it was a new song.
Yeah, it's like, ooh.
It was a brand new song but with concepts he understood.
Right.
Unlike when I sing Pink Pony Club to him. Or when I panicked.
Pink, pink, pink ponies.
When I panicked and sang Welcome to the Black Parade to my niece.
Just any song with a color in it.
Yeah.
This is fine. 99 Red Balloons.
Yeah, teach that kid about nuclear war.
Number 10. Happy Noodle Boy.
Happy Noodle Boy. Mm-hmm. I feel like you made this one up.
I did not make this one up.
I don't know at this point.
I didn't think you would get it. It's a huge curveball.
Okay.
I will say that. And I know you're aware of this property, though I don't know if cartoon is the correct word to say here.
Okay.
This was one of the interstitial filler strips in Johnny the Homicidal Maniac.
Okay, so we're not even just doing shows anymore.
Curveball!
Do you know what a curveball is? A curveball is when, like, there's something out of left field that is still within the rules of a game. They're still throwing a baseball.
Nah, I switched it to a football. Curveball!
Like, is this the Savannah Bananas version of any...
Yes. We're going full Savannah Bananas here.
The last time I made you play a game, I kept it as fair as possible. When we were doing games during the COVID era, I kept it so fair. Like, I'd go obscure, but I was fair.
I thought you would have things to say about Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, and I don't think we'd ever have a reason to bring it up in other conversation. So I'm writing a show.
I never read it, but I think you know where I'm going with this is my best friend growing up loved it, and her mother found a copy of it under her bed, and she was banned from Hot Topic until we were adults. And my mom...
Probably still banned from Hot Topic.
My mom didn't care. Like, I didn't have rules growing up. And so she and I would go to the mall, we'd buy stuff, and we'd just switch it, and I'd come home with a Hot Topic bag, and my mom would be like, what'd you buy from Hot Topic? And I'm like, oh, I didn't buy anything. I bought something and put it in this Hot Topic bag. Shelley bought a Nightmare Before Christmas shirt.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, alright.
Yeah.
My mom didn't care. So I'm like not doing great.
I think you'll go on a nice run coming up here.
We're 5-4 and really I should say it's 5-3 and 2 because it's another
Curveball.
I'm keeping score and I'm keeping score of which one of these are crap.
All right, you can judge me on this. Did you know you were being judged the whole time? All right, number 11.
Lisa Gilroy time.
Penny cartoon.
Penny cartoon.
Time for a penny cartoon.
Ooh. I don't like... Oh, it's time for a penny cartoon. It sounds familiar, but I don't know.
It was a claymation cartoon that I believe also had the first appearance of Arnold in it. And it comes to us from Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Oh.
It's time for a penny cartoon, and then 2 pennies would roll in and be your eyes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, see, since that was fair. That was a question that made sense in context.
Okay.
So despite getting it wrong,
Ooh, this is going to get real hostile. I can already feel it.
No, like, I got that question wrong, but it was a fair question, so I accept it.
Oh. Good. I'm glad. Anyway, I like Pee-wee.
Yeah.
We're going to watch that documentary soon.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
This one, Lars definitely not going to know this one. Mr. Peabody and Sherman.
Oh, this is Rocky and Bullwinkle and Friends.
Rocky and Bullwinkle and Friends,
They were the Friends. I believe I had a stuffed Mr. Peabody at one point in my life.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
CVS used to, like, merchandise Rocky and Bullwinkle for some reason. Mm-hmm. And I had Mr. Peabody and the Fractured Fairy.
Yep. Rocky and Bullwinkle had been around since, like, the 60s. And Mr. Peabody and Sherman were a time-traveling dog and boy. And Sherman was Mr. Peabody's boy.
Yes. It was very Bunsen and Beaker.
Yes.
But Sherman was Beaker.
Yes.
Less abusive than Bunsen and Beaker. Mm-hmm. But, like, very much that Peabody was in charge and Sherman would be like, Mr. Peabody! Well, Sherman.
Yes. And they actually had a very successful movie not too long ago.
Yes, which it opened around the same time as Muppets Most Wanted.
Yes.
But the interesting thing is Muppets Most Wanted leaned very heavily on non-traditional marketing. Mm-hmm. And Peabody and Sherman went with very traditional marketing. And that's how we found out that traditional marketing still works better for children's media.
Yeah.
Because it outperformed Muppets Most Wanted by a lot.
That makes sense. Next, we got a tricky one.
Oh, boy.
Batfink.
Batfink. Oh my god, I remember Batfink. It's not helping me, but I remember it existing. This is definitely very late 80s or early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely from, like, when I was very young. Because I don't think this was a show I, like, was in love with. I think this is a show that would be on.
Okay.
Underdog?
So, Underdog's a really good guess. I will say that this show was a show first and then became a side cartoon in another show. I believe possibly along with Underdog and also with Mr. Magoo.
Okay.
If that pushes you over the edge of what show I'm talking about right here.
Mr. Magoo and Underdog. Because Nickelodeon used to run Underdog.
Yes.
And I do feel like it was this, like... It wasn't Hanna-Barbera. It was like a Paramount.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They were all side cartoons for Wienerville.
Okay, I'm going to take an exception here. I'm not sure how I feel about using cartoons that were not originally intended to be side cartoons or spin-offs because following that logic, a lot of these shows would run old Looney Tunes cartoons.
Yes.
Like, this is more of a syndication vehicle situation.
Yes. I'm fine with that argument. I just kind of wanted to bring up Wienerville.
Yeah, Wienerville was odd.
Yes. We have... Did we cover Wienerville? Did we cover the Hanukkah special?
I don't know if we covered it or if we just watched
or
it.
we just watched it on our own as adults.
It's so odd. I still think the classic Tree Fitty joke from online.
Yeah.
I still go 1350 because that was the Wienerville version of that joke.
Yes, everything was 1350.
And to the point where, like, inflation has changed so much that the things they were joking about being 1350 now actually cost that.
Yeah.
It was such a strange show. But yeah, I'm not sure I accept that premise of these being filler cartoons for that.
Understood.
But I do remember Wienerville. And it is late 80s, early 90s. It was a show I did not actively love, but would frequently be on.
Yeah.
What an odd little show.
Yes, Wienerville was very strange.
It's the kind of show that just doesn't happen now, because it's so weird. Old Nickelodeon, I read Slimed, I watched Paparina. I do find early Nickelodeon to be really fascinating, because they just let a lot of stuff happen. And it's actually so interesting that there are very few, like, sad, dark stories from that very early era of Nickelodeon. We don't really get into, like, the quiet on the set era until Nickelodeon's already actually pretty corporate.
Yes.
And I find that so interesting, because you would think that the pre-corporate area would hide that kind of, like, horrible misdeed. Mm-hmm. But by all accounts in the book Slimed, everyone kind of said, like, that stuff didn't happen in that very early Nickelodeon era.
Yeah, it's very interesting. We're big fans of Paparina and his show Knickknacks. And, like, it's all so fun right now.
Yeah.
And we know eventually he's going to get deeper and deeper into the Nickelodeon canon that it's going to get a little sad.
Yeah, like, right now it's mostly, 15 welcome freshmen.
Yeah, he just did Pete and Pete a little while ago. Yeah, so it's a great show. Check out Paparina. Next on my list is Pixie Dixie and Mr. Jinx.
Oh, Pixie Dixie, Mr. Jinx. It was definitely a Hanna-Barbera. I want to say it ran with Top Cat, but I think, like, by the time we got into being kids, all of these Hanna-Barbera cartoons were repackaged in so many different ways that I'm thinking of, like, Top Cat and Quick Draw McGraw and Adam Ant.
Yes.
But I'm not sure which one of them headlined the show, technically.
I think that is an acceptable answer to give you the point. The show that I pulled up that had Pixie Dixie and Mr. Jinx was Huckleberry Hound and Friends. Huckleberry Hound. That being said, do you have any memories of Pixie Dixie and Mr. Jinx? Like, do you know even what those characters look like?
I am going to actually Google.
Well, I was going to make a guess before you look at them.
I think Pixie and Dixie are mice and Mr. Jinx is a cat?
That is 100% correct. I had no memory of Pixie Dixie and Mr. Jinx.
Yeah. Like I said, this did run as its own show. It's one of 3 segments of the Huckleberry Hound cartoon. Mm-hmm. I just find it super interesting because all of these Hanna-Barbera shows, by the time they got to the 1990s, were repackaged up, down, and sideways, which does make this more challenging with those. So I was thinking about, like, these are definitely some sort of Hanna-Barbera mix, but I couldn't tell you exactly who the headliner was.
All right. Well, I'm impressed still. Number 15, 2 possible answers for this one.
Okay.
The Legend of Zelda.
I'm gonna go with... I feel like I might know what both answers are.
Okay.
I think it's the Super Mario Brothers Super Show and Captain N.
And Captain N and the N Team.
So I'm taking that point.
Yes.
I'm currently 8, 4, and 3.
It's interesting to me that The Legend of Zelda is such a huge property right now.
Excuse me, princess.
Excuse me, and we all remember that, but it was a side cartoon for Captain Lou Albano being Mario.
That show is so freaky to watch as an adult.
The Super Mario Super Show?
Yeah, a lot of late 80s, early 90s children's media is terrifying.
Yeah.
It's so interesting that's why modern horror actually leans a lot on children's media for millennials.
Yeah, because we didn't know what we were doing.
Because children's media for millennials was often horrifying.
Do you remember the song? Can you do the Mario?
No.
Swing your arms from side to side. Come on, get up. On, do the Mario. Take one step. And then again. Those are not really great dance moves. It's swinging your arms and taking steps. But R.I.P. Captain Lou. And, of course, Captain N and the N Team was the story of Captain Nintendo and his dog who were sucked into his television to team up with people like Mega Man and the Game Boy and various other Nintendo characters to take on Mother Brain, the evil eggplant from Kid Icarus, and King Hippo. I was a big fan of Captain N and the N Team. Number 16 was a joke that I'm not going to do because it's just going to make you mad.
Okay.
But it was Johnny Truitt.
Okay. Johnny Truitt?
Johnny Truitt.
Johnny Truant.
Yes.
Alright, what is it?
It's the side story that exists inside House of Leaves.
I would have flipped this table. If
Yeah, that's right. Like, you know what? I'm just going to say that this is a joke, so Laura doesn't need to explain that it's a joke, because I know it was a bit. And Laura's a little testy already. And I was just like, let's not. I wanted to bring up House of Leaves. I thought it'd be funny. And I realize now that it's not. And I'm sorry for my mistakes.
Noah is realizing that he still has to work with me after this episode.
Yes. So we're just going to just casually move on to number 17.
Okay.
Which is Chilly Willy.
Oh, Chilly Willy! Woody Woodpecker.
Yes, the Woody Woodpecker Show. That's like an area of cartoons that, like, I don't really know well.
That's,
you know. The Woody Woodpeckers.
It's really great that next time you ask me, like, a close friend's birthday, I'm gonna hem and haw. And then you asked me about Chilly Willy, and I didn't hesitate.
You know, this is a joke that I've heard you make many times. But I've never known you to not know a friend's birthday.
That's fair. I just, the stuff that is still in my, like, easy access memory is bizarre. Mm-hmm. Being able to pull Chilly Willy out of the sky.
The next one is a bit of a curveball that I apparently need to say out loud or else things get bad. Because this is not a side cartoon, this is a side live action.
Okay.
And that's Bill Nye. This is a really fun fact I wanted to include.
Okay, so Bill Nye the Science Guy used to run as his own, because he clearly had a show.
Yes, the Science Guy.
I kind of feel like I remember him having segments. Mm-hmm. He didn't spin off of Beakman, did he?
Not of Beakman, no. It is a live action that's kind of a filler part of an animated show.
What was it?
It was Back to the Future, the animated series.
Oh, that's wild. That's really cool, actually.
Yeah, at the end of every episode of Back to the Future, the animated series, they would do like a real science experiment to kind of like tie in some sort of educational idea to the cartoon. And it was Bill Nye.
Bill.
Before we were very excited just to see Bill Nye. Because I believe Doc Brown would talk over it. And Bill would just do science things.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have actually been that mad about that one, because that did fit in with a cartoon. Not a comic book or a book for a fact I have not read.
It was a joke. I apologize before I even did it. In any case, Number 19 on my list that I have here is Goofy Gophers.
Goofy Gophers.
Yes.
My brain vomited it up a title, but I don't have a better option because I don't think this is... No, you know what? I know what I'm thinking of. So no, it's not. It's not Two Stupid Dogs, which is what my brain...
It is not Two Stupid Dogs.
My brain immediately... But that's Secret Squirrel Morocco Mole.
Yes, yes! Oh, I don't have that on my list!
Hold on, writing down... Bonus point. Secret Squirrel.
Morocco Mole.
Goofy Gophers?
Goofy Gophers.
I don't know why, but it's giving, like, Eek the Cat energy.
Interesting. There's a couple answers I think I would accept for this one. I think it might help you if I told you that the name of the Goofy Gophers are Mac and Tosh.
Macintosh. I still don't know.
It's from the Bugs Bunny show. These are, in fact, Looney Tunes.
Oh.
Macintosh, they're, for some reason, they seem to be characters that only I remember. But they are these two little chipmunks or gophers that would, like, compliment one another a lot. Like, oh, you go ahead. No, you go ahead, Tosh. No, you go ahead.
Yeah, look at them.
And one of the reasons they are burned into my brain.
Oh, indubitably.
Yes!
They're the indubitably gophers.
One of the reasons they're burned into my brain is you and I got a taxi once. And the taxi driver went, so, do you guys want trivia while we drive? And I was like, yeah, of course I do. And he said, who is the only Looney Tune that's only 3 letters long? Like, their name is only 3 letters. And I immediately went, Mac. And he was like, that's not a Looney Tune. I was like, yeah, they are. They're the Gophers that always got... I was like, that's not a Looney Tune. And we got into an intense argument. Then I went, oh, Taz.
I think I made the argument for Sam.
Sam?
Yosemite Sam.
Yeah.
Because Taz is the Tasmanian Devil.
Exactly. Which makes me even more right about Mac.
Yes, it does.
Just saying. Wherever that guy is. Alright. This one's impossible, so it's fine. Everyone loves Ned Flanders.
I mean, I feel like the obvious answer would be The Simpsons.
It's The Simpsons! We watched this not too long ago. Do you not remember?
No, I remember watching it. The way you built it up, I was like, this is going to be like a throwaway gag on American Dad or something.
No, it was just me being...
Being cheeky?
Being cheeky. There's an episode of The Simpsons that I guess ran short, so they air a short cartoon called Everyone Loves Ned Flanders, where he wakes up his kids and tells them to go to church, and they say no, and he's aghast, and they say because it's Saturday. And that's the whole cartoon. Kind of a cheat, but something I wanted to bring up. Number 21 here is Quailman.
Oh, that's Doug.
Yeah, Doug had a series of side cartoons that were just his thoughts.
Smash Adams.
Yeah, Smash Adams was another one. Probably should have went with Smash Adams because Quailman was the obvious one.
Quailman, Smash Adams, and there was a third one.
Yeah, he had like these different...
he had like an Indiana Jones type one.
Yeah, where it was Doug as these other characters. Smash Adams was his, like, James Bond
Race
character.
Canyon.
Race Canyon, yes. I should have gone with one of those. Those are more obvious than, or less obvious than Quailman.
Race Canyon, I think, Smash Adams I would have gotten just as quickly. Mm-hmm. Race Canyon, I'm not sure I would have gotten. Race Canyon was apparently, out of the 3, the least common to say.
Interesting.
Quailman was the most common, and then Smash Adams was in the middle.
Quailman got an episode.
Yeah.
Where it was just him making a Quailman comic with Skeeter. The Silver Skeeter.
Because I feel like I remember Smash Adams being in the Liver and Onions episode.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Number 22. The Ambiguously Gay Duo.
That aired as part of the TV Funhouse segment of Saturday Night Live.
Yes, The Ambiguously Gay Duo. Which blew my mind when I found out that was Stephen Colbert.
Yes.
As Ace. And or Gary. I don't really remember.
The Ambiguously Gay Duo. That was like the funniest thing in the 1990s.
Yeah. It had a good theme song. It was very funny. The other cartoon I remember them doing was Fun with Real Audio, where they would play real audio and animate around it. That was like the two Saturday TV fun houses that I remember. I'm sure there must have been others, but that's all I remember. And they eventually did get their own show on Comedy Central.
So, are you keeping score as well?
No, I let you take over.
Because I think I'm missing one, because I have 11 correct.
Oh, because we skipped number 16, which was House of Leaves.
Well, because I currently have 20. So I'm currently at 12. I did get 12 correct.
All right, we got 12 out of these. And we've thrown some out, so you have 12 correct, which is what you guessed you'd get.
Yeah,
so
I have 12 correct, 6 incorrect, 3 during which I threw a tantrum, and 1 that I dismissed. Mm-hmm. And then if we want to be really pedantic, bonus point for Secret Squirrel.
Okay, that makes sense to me. So I got 2 more here. First, we got Screwball Squirrel.
Screwy Squirrel. Oh my... So... this was like a trauma moment.
Yep, that's why I brought him up.
I want to say this was in that Warner Brothers Tex Avery group. So I want to say it's like a Merry Melodies, Looney Tunes type spinoff, but like in that like Warner Brothers Tex Avery Droopy Dog like group.
It is in fact a Tex Avery cartoon, The World of Tex Avery.
Because I mean, obviously, I'm thinking of... We talked about this way back on the podcast. Like, really far back when we did the episode called Not Without My Anus.
Yes.
And this was like a scarring moment for me about Cartoon Network running a simulated takeover of the network by Screwy Squirrel.
Yes.
Where they ran the same cartoon over and over again with increasingly panicked crawls along the bottom.
Yep.
And that scared the crap out of me when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about with our nieces and nephews about what's going to scar them for life. And I was joking that our niece isn't allowed to watch Jaws until she's 6.
Right.
Because that's not going to be the stuff that traumatizes a kid. It's going to be weird stuff you can't predict, like Cartoon Network staging a hostile takeover on an April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
The real trauma are the friends we made along the way.
And finally, the last one I have here is Toby Danger.
I have no idea.
Toby Danger was a parody of Johnny Quest that you would see in Freakazoid.
Oh my god.
So I want to include more Freakazoid just so, because I felt like I realized like we picked Lord Bravery out of nothing when there was other options like Fat Man and Blubber Boy and Toby Danger and the Huntsman.
It's so funny because I loved Freakazoid. I did not care about any of the interstitials.
I don't remember them either. I only remembered Lord Bravery.
Like, I loved Freakazoid, but I never gave a single thought to those other characters. Unlike Animaniacs, where I liked a pretty wide variety of them.
Yeah, like, I didn't like the hippos, the hip hippos.
I like the hip hippos now more as an adult.
Yeah, maybe I would enjoy them
now
more
that I think I am what they are parodying.
Yes.
Of, like, the adult children, essentially, of, like, adults who don't have kids. And I think it was parodying a certain type of viewer of Animaniacs.
Yes.
At that time. So, I got 13 correct. I got 7 incorrect. There are 3 over which I threw a tantrum. And then we dismissed the House of Leaves question.
Yes.
And bonus point for Secret Squirrel. So I was ultimately... I got more correct than I got incorrect.
Yes.
So,
so Laura wins.
Yeah. I mean, I still won even without the technicality of the bonus point and even without me throwing a tantrum.
Yes. And hey, why don't you leave in the comments how you did? And also leave your favorite secondary cartoon that I forgot to include on the list.
I included mine that you forgot to include, and that was Secret Squirrel.
Secret Squirrel. Secret Squirrel was good. I did like Secret Squirrel.
Yeah, there's a few that I'm surprised you didn't... I guess because we talked about them on the previous episode of some of the...
yeah, like Dial M for Monkey.
The Cartoon Network ones.
Or Justice Friends I didn't include. But I wanted to include U.S. Acres because I know you love it.
I do. I was actually looking it just occurred to me. I was like, I feel like, did Johnny Bravo have one?
I don't think so. That was one that I pulled up and I didn't see a surprisingly large number of cartoons.
It absolutely did.
It did?
Yep, Jungle Boy.
Jungle Boy? Mm-hmm. I thought Jungle Boy was a character.
No, Jungle Boy was a Johnny. Yeah, Jungle Boy is a minor character. He's only in the first season, but he's very much in these types of cartoons. He was his own character.
His own thing.
Yeah.
Oh well, that was my attempt at this game. Maybe it didn't go as well as I had hoped, but this is all we have time for because my life is getting stressful. So I hope you enjoyed this bonus episode of Stay Doomed. We'll be back, I think we could say this, most likely we will be doing Muppet Vision 3D next.
Yeah, because I just need to do that.
We need the morn.
I need to process my grief.
Yes. So thank you so much for listening. If you're having fun, be sure to hang out in our Discord. You can find a link to that in the links down below. And where else can people find us?
You can email us at thestaydoomedshow@gmail.com or on Blue Sky at Stay Doomed.
And if you read House of Leaves, I'm at TV's Noah on Blue Sky and Instagram.
And if you want to talk about Cartoon Network shows or the Animaniacs, I am Laura Crane on Blue Sky. Until next time, stay doomed.